Growing her business to over 40 employees from a mere $1,000 investment, Stephanie Soulis of Little Mushroom Catering is no stranger to business adversity. But the COVID-19 pandemic brought in a whole new class of business problems. I'm heading in now to talk to Steph and learn how she plans on bouncing back.
My first kind of real job was at a restaurant called La Costa, and it was downtown Kitchener on the corner of Charles and Ontario, across from the bus terminal. Kind of a seedy neighborhood, but the restaurant was lovely. So anyway, I worked there for about 3 years and then left for university. When I was in Teachers College, I got pregnant with my first child, with Gwen. I was finished in April and she was due in July, and so we knew off the bat that come September I wasn't going to be teaching because I'd be home with her. When I moved back to town, the guy who had been the general manager at La Costa had opened a restaurant called Art Bar in the center in the square. And I went, and the food was delicious. The service was horrible. I left a note for Brian on the back of the bill. I said, "Hey buddy, I think you need some help. Here's my number, give me a call." And so he called me the next day. I started working there the following week. And part of what Art Bar did was, because they were so entwined with the center and the square, they were also kind of closed in the summer. In order to make revenue during that slow time, Brian started something called Summer Chef School. I was working with the kids, and while doing that, I was getting a whole culinary education over these 3 summers that I would have never gotten even from going to culinary school. And so I had the summer while I was working full-time running the camp, I had that time to figure out what I wanted to do next. And so it actually kind of came to me in a dream. I'm not like, I like signs, I believe in signs a little bit, but I'm not too like into that stuff. But it came to me in a dream, the name, Little Mushroom, and this idea that I would be able to kind of take what we were doing on the catering side of things with Art Bar and run with it. When I first started Little Mushroom, I started it with $1,000. I had enough money to get the groceries for my first event, to get some matching platters, go to Staples and make myself business cards. My mother-in-law was diagnosed with leukemia, and so she moved in with us. And so I was taking her to chemo, not too often, but every second week, and I was able with the catering side of things to be able to pick and choose when I worked a little bit, as much as what the clients let you do. So we had my in-laws' house that, with her moving in with us, her house was empty. And so she said, well, how about instead of me selling it right away, while you look for an industrial kitchen space, you can use the house for your catering. So I had a home kitchen in a home that nobody lived in, and turned the whole main floor sort of into my catering space. I was playing with recipes, starting to figure out what I actually wanted to have on my menu. I was feeding all the neighbors, they loved me, but I knew I wasn't zoned properly, and that could never happen in this very, residential neighborhood. And financially, I just kept putting whatever I was getting from the jobs that I did back into the business. So I didn't pay myself anything for the first probably 3.5 years of being in business. But I built this business on my values, based on my values. I've always been, a little green. I've built that into the business of Little Mushroom, where everything that we do, we're constantly asking ourselves, like, how can we do this with the smallest ecological footprint possible? I like my visual aids, so picture yourself with a Venn diagram in front of you, where we have the 3 E's. So we have the environment, we have the economy, and we have equity. And so the other piece to Little Mushroom that's very important is that equity piece. And we've built that in both for our staff, so we're certified living wage employers. And then the other big equity piece is just being a member of the community. The values that I was taught as a child was that with your money, whatever money you bring in, you split that. You split that so that a third of it goes into savings, a third of it you get to spend. That's what you're spending on your ingredients or on your staff appreciation or on whatever it might be. And then a third of it, you give back. We make sure that we're volunteering in the community, that we're sponsoring events. So we have an option on our form that you can pay it forward and buy a meal for a healthcare worker. Everything that we do, we're trying to find that balance between equity, the environment, and economy, right? We're a business. But I do consider myself kind of more of a social entrepreneur. So yeah, that balance is in the middle of those three circles. That's where you find sustainability. So I laid off about 30 people on March 13th. It was probably the hardest business decision I've ever had to make. In hindsight, it was the smartest thing I've ever done, I think, because I still don't know how we're gonna bring everybody back. So in all, normally at this time of year, I would have 45 staff, and I have 7 right now. And I miss my people. I miss my clients. I miss my staff. I miss my people. I'm an extrovert.